Greetings, this is Ty Brown with AthleticDirectorU. We are here at the 2022 NACDA Convention. Happy to be back in person here in Las Vegas. I'm joined by Jimmy Bash. Jimmy is retiring as a Director of Athletics at UNCW. Greetings, Jimmy. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Ty. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hey, congratulations on a great career.
Thank you. It's been a terrific journey.
Right.
And I can't thank the student athletes along the way and certainly the coaches who've helped my family enjoy every step of that journey.
Right. Well, I mean, your career, like the 12 years as athletics director there, 42 years in the industry overall, 9 to 10 stops along the way. Some of them you went back to places. I think there's a whole lot of leadership experience that somebody would sit down with coffee with you for 10 to 15 minutes to 5 hours and learn a whole bunch about leadership. What I'd like to do is kind of go through the beginning, kind of the middle, and the end of your career as an athletics director at UNCW. And touch on a couple things. Beginning, you get there, right? I looked at your press conference, and we all know in press conferences you say things, and it sounds rosy, but you haven't even gotten in to be able to assess the situation yet, so you don't necessarily know. I wonder about the things in your mind, right? The bullet points you wanted to accomplish before you decided to take the job, and then when you got in and made your assessment on, okay, here's what I think we can do. Right when you first started there in that first year, maybe year and a half there at UNCW.
One of the primary objectives was trying to bring the communities back together. Okay. The university community, the athletic community on campus, and certainly the community in Wilmington and in southeastern North Carolina. There had been a fracture there.
Right.
And some very difficult times, but we worked really, really hard to establish a bond of trust with the community. Mm-hmm. We tried to surround ourselves with staff members, again, administrators and trainers, and coaches who were loyal to the university, that understood the admissions process at UNCW and understood what our long-term goals and objectives were in terms of academics and competitiveness, and certainly working within the community.
I imagine to start that process, you just immediately started talking to constituents, donors. You immediately got to know some student athletes, started talking to various academic people on campus. I mean, just went and built a bunch of relationships on campus.
No question. Part of the interview process that I established with the chancellor and the search committee, we had a 30-day plan, a 90-day plan, and a 6-month plan.
Right.
And it meant reaching out to so many varied constituents, both on campus, faculty, staff, administrators, certainly student athletes, right. Non-student athletes, just normal everyday students.
Yeah.
And they're reaching out in the community to really reestablish the bonds, because we were behind the 8 ball from a resource standpoint, and we needed to grow. We needed to be able to provide resources, scholarship resources for student athletes, more scholarship resources for each sport. We were behind in facilities, and so we jumped in with both feet, but we did it with a plan. Mm-hmm. We did it slowly. We did it in a very sincere manner, and we followed up with folks. And I think it proved itself out that we certainly reestablished those bonds of trust within the community.
Yeah. So, and that was one of the key outcomes you wanted to get. Now you look at the first third of your career, right, and the things you wanted to accomplish. I wonder about if you were to look back at that first third. Did we accomplish those things, right? In terms of like fundraising, you sit down with somebody and, the relationships may have been built before you got there. Funds may have been promised before you got there, but now you come with this different lens, like we might need to change some of this thing. And that, how do you sit down with the donor and say, hey, we've rethought this situation. Here's what we may need from you. So talk to me about that.
First and foremost, our entire priority was our student athletes.
Exactly.
Scholarship resources, providing opportunities for young men and women come to a world-class university on the coast. We had an asset and a resource that not many folks have.
Right.
We've got the beach right there, and so we wanted to bring, and we do have a terrific academic institution. We needed to redo our facilities. We took Trask Coliseum, which is a venerable basketball facility that seats about 5,200, and we have a tremendous home court advantage with Trask Coliseum. In the CAA. We lead the league in attendance. We lead the league in season tickets that are sold. Excellent. Our students show up, and the place just rocks. But we got a new Jumbotron. We put new LED tables down in there, put a new HD lighting, LED lighting in there, and made it a friendlier environment. and we made money off of it.
Yeah.
Our marketing efforts almost doubled, and we were able to bring more corporate partners on board. And we were very fortunate. One of our goals also was to reestablish men's basketball as a visible and competitive program nationally. We hired Kevin Keats from the University of Louisville and Rick Pitino's staff, and Kevin came in from day one. Won 3 regular season championships the last 2 years. We played Duke in a regional in Providence. The next year we played Virginia and Orlando in a Providence in a regional in Orlando. And it was just a wonderful experience. And that key was, again, there was a tremendous, Wilmington is a good community that I don't know if I'd call it a retirement community because people move there because of the terrific quality of life, but they're not older people. They have resources, they have time, they have energy, and they go to the university for continuing educational opportunities and certainly arts programs and certainly athletics. And so that has helped us, and we have used that to try to grow the programs over the years. Our baseball program is a nationally prominent program. And so we've tried to key on that. And but again, reaching out and developing resources, we can't use any appropriated tax dollars in the state of North Carolina for the operation of our athletic programs. And so we delivered that message to our donors and to the corporations too. We need your help. You know, we don't get any tax funding to make this thing work.
Which is interesting. You told me a story before we got on. Interesting story of someone had committed money, right? And then you get on. And you're like, well, I wonder if we can change what this commitment is. Tell me about how the nuance of that when you talk about fundraising.
Well, again, our priority was to rekindle men's and women's basketball and make Trask a better place. The individual had already committed $1 million. We went back in 60 days after we had reevaluated what the program's needs and certainly the goals were, and talked to the chancellor. And we asked for a $5 million gift, and he politely declined that, but he did give us $1 million. He gave us the ability to use it to spend to renovate and remodel Trask Coliseum. And so that was sort of the basis for what we were doing. It was a matter of going into people's offices, into their workplaces, into their homes, onto the golf course with them, and delivering and clearly stating what our needs were, what our goals and ambitions were. And again, every step of the way, it was all centered on the welfare for our student athletes.
Yeah, that's excellent. That person probably became a valued constituent because he saw what you did with that $1 million, right? I think that's excellent. You mentioned a chancellor. Now, you've been through how many chancellors?
I'm just getting ready. On July 1st, our 5th chancellor will arrive on campus. And so I've been fortunate. They've all had different leadership styles, so I've been able to learn and grow from each one. Each one of these 5 chancellors are sports fans. They understand the value of a competitive Division I athletic program to a thriving university, and how athletics can enhance the academic community, how the academic community can enhance athletics. And so I've been very fortunate with that. And they've all helped us grow in many different ways. Always been available when we needed. We had recruits on campus, and we had the chancellor be able to talk to them. Always welcoming, helped us in fundraising. So I've been fortunate. I'm getting ready to have our 5th, but we've had terrific chancellors.
There's an aspect of culture when a chancellor changes, right? There's an aspect, okay, they lead a little different. Your culture is your culture, and you've been consistent over 5 chancellors, however many chancellors. I wonder if there's adjustments you need to make as this new person comes in. They obviously believe in what you do because you've been successful at it, but tell me about that aspect.
A terrific example of that is the chancellor that's just retiring, Zito Sartorelli. Zito came to UNCW. He was the dean of the business school at West Virginia. Before that, he worked in industry for international pharmaceutical programs and ran their Far East programs for Johnson & Johnson and Eli Lilly. So he brought a business perspective to the academic community at UNCW. It rattled some cages there, but I told him from the very get-go, Chancellor, in athletics, we keep score on everything we do. Academics, again, competitiveness, and again, how people measure us in the community with our kids giving back. Doesn't bother me that we're keeping score every day. And so we have thrived under that leadership model. We had one before that was just a champion for making sure that we continue to generate additional resources, and came in at a time when the focus nationally we were able to add more sports medicine professionals. We were able to add more people, facilities people and operations people, and make the operation smoother, to work on all of our facilities, indoor facilities, outdoor facilities, to make sure they're in better condition for our student athletes on a daily basis, practice, and then not only in the game situations.
Yeah, which is important. So looking at the, I guess, second third, right, of your career, yes, there's always challenges with resources, but now you had to consider eliminating sports, right? Which is probably one of the toughest decisions that an athletic director has to make, because you promise somebody we're going to come here and give you this education and you'll be able to compete at a high level. Talk about the mindset going into that and the challenges to be able to have to make those decisions because of resources.
That's probably, in the 12 years that I was in Wilmington, is the most difficult situations. The two situations when we went through and considered dropping men's and women's swimming and diving. Then in another situation, we considered dropping cross country and indoor and outdoor track. In the end, we decided not to do either.
Okay.
I think we did a wake-up call for many of the people in the community, and told the lettermen, the parents, if you want this program, you've got to support it. You've got to help with scholarship resources. You've got to help with those discretionary dollars that we can make those programs better with. There are a lot of kids, a lot of tears were shed then, and it was a really, really difficult time professionally to see kids suffer, to see their parents suffer, to think about taking away their passion.
Yeah.
And but we got through it, and now we're better. We've just recently named the swimming pool after a gentleman that went through that situation with swimming and diving, Dave Allen, who won 13 consecutive men's swimming championships. Wow. And this year, men's swimming won their 14th championship, wow. But there's been a lull of about 5 years in between. So it's one of those things that's a reality in college athletics right now, particularly Division I, with the litigation, the potential for litigation. You have to be very, very careful with that right now, because no matter what you're doing and what sport it is, what gender it is, right. Somebody is going to seek a lawyer and challenge what you're doing.
So you were able to keep both sports.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting about track, as if I recall correctly, that decision was made to eliminate the sport. Right?
Well, the one for swimming and diving was.
Oh, okay, that's what it was.
And the
you were able to.
And we have the track and field program. One of the reasons was the track was we had a really difficult time trying to find a way to renovate the track. Well, we partnered with the city, Wilmington, the county, New Hanover, and university resources, and we did $1 million renovation on the outdoor track, and we reached out, and so we were able to do that. But again, the partnership with the city and county opens it up for the better part of the day. The morning, their classes, midday through the afternoon till the varsity teams show up. The general public can use it after the varsity team's finished. The general public can get back out there. So it's a wonderful partnership to make that happen. We're exploring that right now with Wilmington needs a new natatorium. So I for a mid-major like UNCW, we've got to find those public-private partnerships to make it work.
I'll tell you what I like about that, because you said the decision was made about swimming, right? Mm-hmm. And now you got a guy coming back and you named this pool after him. Track, it was close to a decision and you guys ended up working it out. Is that, I believe you made the announcement in track to some of the student athletes,
we did.
Right?
We did.
So their hearts are broken.
Mm-hmm.
And then you, as an AD, being resourceful, as a problem solver, let's rephrase that.
That's a great way to describe
right?
it.
Being resourceful, you figure out a way how to keep the program there to the joy of everybody involved, right? In terms of the longevity of experience, tell us about that aspect of being resourceful to solve problems that center around the core purpose of serving student athletes.
Well, and there were a lot of hard feelings. And it took many, many years for a lot of the lettermen and the alums, particularly in the swim program, to look me in the eye, for me to look them in the eye, and us trust each other. But we do now. And we have a wonderful men's and women's swim program, and we've got an alum who was part of some of those 13 consecutive championships, who was an assistant coach at NC State. And he has done a wonderful job. But it's very, very difficult, because I mentioned you're threatening somebody's passion,
right?
Which can turn out to be a distraction for them academically and socially. And then It would be one of the other challenges right now, if you jumped into something like that, is the mental health challenges that we have, and that's such a pressing issue right now for all of us at Division I, is making sure we take care of our student athletes, making sure we take care of our coaches, particularly surviving. Where we came through a horrific hurricane, and then we've survived the pandemic. So, but again, if the kids know that you really care about them, and you're working hard to make their situation better, they'll accept it and go to work with you.
Right. I'll ask two questions here, and then we'll wrap. First one, you mentioned the hurricane, right? I think you were hit in terms of schools being hit by a hurricane. That specific one, you were hit the worst, almost a direct hit type situation. Tell me about that aspect of weathering that storm, being a leader in that situation. You almost kind of overlead when those type of situations.
Well, we had 18 sports. No, we had 19 sports. So we had 19 sports, and the coaches, all the senior administrators had a notebook, and each coach was responsible for finding out where their kids were going, because we sent them home.
Yeah.
Now we moved 5 teams to the Triangle area, to the Raleigh-Durham Chapel area, 2 men's basketball programs, 2 soccer programs, and volleyball. Those 5 fall sports, and we actually carried on. We put them in hotel rooms, and the schools in the Triangle, North Carolina, NC State, Duke, were all tremendous to us in terms of hosting our student athletes. And so we were able to keep those 5 programs going, get them ready to play. But the hurricane was a challenge.
Yeah.
And even personally, we were out of our house for 9 months. Wow. We had 2 trees fall into our house. And so for many, again, not only is it a professional taxing situation, but personally it was tough. So, but our kids hung in there. I give our faculty, our academic support people, academic affairs on campus, they helped us. And in fact, our grades never dropped one bit.
Yeah,
our graduation rates at the end of each of those years, or the years subsequently after the hurricane, were excellent. And so, we have at UNCW the best situation I've ever seen in terms of communication. We get along with advancement. We get along with the university administration. We get along with academic affairs, university police. We cooperate. We don't operate in a silo, and they help make us successful. And getting through a natural disaster like a hurricane, and even the pandemic recently, we could not have done it without the help of the university.
Right. Yeah. And that goes back to when you first started. You wanted to make sure the community was all united, right?
Building trust.
Exactly.
That's exactly what it is.
The outcome of it as you went through that challenge. I asked this last question here. You may have a number of young professionals coming up in a career, a number of athletic directors who may be young in the chair, or a number of veteran athletic directors who watch these type of athletic director videos and learn a little bit to how they can do what their job or confirm what they're doing. I wonder if you have 1 or 2 words of wisdom for that span in terms of young professional all the way to a grizzled veteran athletics director.
Well, surround yourself with great people.
Yes, sir.
People that work hard, people that you share a lot of core values with, and people that you can trust, and then get the hell out of the way and let them do their jobs. It took me about a year to figure out to get out of the way and let the really, really good people at UNCW, our administrators, our coaches, do their jobs and be there when they need your help. But those are the 2 things. Surround yourself with good people and get out of the way.
Get out of the way. Be there when they need your help. Well, congratulations on a great career. Congratulations on retirement and the numerous awards that you've won.
Good. You're very kind.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you joining us.
I enjoyed visiting with you
on AthleticDirectorU. That was Jimmy Bass. He is retiring as the athletics director at UNCW. And of course, this is Ty Brown with AthleticDirectorU. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today.